Good evening, everyone. It's been a crazy past couple of weeks, especially with the financial year ending and with the start of the new one. So, with all the planning in place, it's been pretty hectic. But I promise you, this video is going to be a good one. We've been talking a lot about marketing lately, about how it taps into human psychology, about the different modes that people use, digital marketing and collaborations and influencers and whatnot. But the point of this video is why Michael Jackson or MJ was literally the OG of marketing, and how we see a lot of the trends over the past, let's say, 10 years and more so even now. A lot of it is just replication of what he did or an extension of what he did way back in the late 80s and the early 90s. So let's take a look at, why he is still the king even though he's no longer with us. So before it became fashionable for athletes and rappers and whatnot, to come up with their own clothing lines or, makeup products or, shoe brands, video games and whatnot, if you trace back to what MJ did way back in the day, you will actually come across some very interesting points. So this story, begins, let's say, in 1986. Of course, a lot of marketing and publicity was to garner, publicity, which in today's world, if you look at, a lot of the videos that come online, it's just a way for you to, capture a lot of eyeballs. And remember, this is the age, before social media, before digital marketing, all these different things. And way back then, he had a certain way about him when it comes to, generating publicity. Be it him walking around with a gym, the way, or the way he dressed, or the way he spoke. There were other things, little things like, say, for example, he did not want to put the license plates on his cars. The list just keeps going on and on. And what might seem odd to somebody, I guess, that didn't understand it, if you really break it down, I mean, it shows that he was pretty much a marketing genius, was way ahead of his time. Of course, the bare minimum is, let's start with, the music that he created, the special effects that he used, which were kind of unheard of, back in the day. If you look at videos like Thriller or, Smooth Criminal or Billie Jean or whatever it is, the usage of special effects was definitely way ahead of its time, especially in a music video, right? He was also the same person who also had a video game. I mean, forget about pinballs. I mean, that's what was, famous in those days, along with Pac-Man in, video game arcades. But if you, some of you might recollect a game that came out, which was, the Moonwalk. I mean, that Smooth Criminal, which kind of, came around with the Moonwalk as well. To think of it, having that sort of vision where, he kind of developed his own video game in 1989, which is, I mean, it's become like the in thing, you have, especially, when you're into sports, right? Like if you're Tiger Woods, you have the Tiger Woods golf, you have NBA 2K, you have, NFL Madden. For football, you have Madden, you have cricket, you have all these different games. But think about this in 1989, just by virtue of, one album, which was like multi-platinum, to foresee the fact that video games were a way to tap into a younger segment, especially with the Sega Genesis coming out and having a game available for them, and the video game arcades is definitely like years ahead of its time. Another thing that he also, I'm not going to say pioneered, because a lot of people did do it before, but the scale at which he included collaborations from other artists was just phenomenal. If you think about We Are the World, that was written by him and Lionel Richie, they literally had the who's who in that video. I mean, you name it, musicians, artists, poets. I mean, everybody and their mother was in that video. And just by virtue of that one collaboration, they sold almost, 750 million copies. Once again, this is pre, digital music, pre everything. So 750 million copies being sold is nothing short of an achievement. Another interesting thing, if you look at it, is I guess this you could call this content marketing, right? I just talked about the thriller video, well, the thriller song, but then in addition to the song actually being a hit, the video itself was just out of this world. It was kind of like a mini movie that was framed into a song along with themes and shot with Hollywood producers and directors and whatnot. And of course, you didn't really have too many content options back in the day, but everything that he did, it was in all those multiple different formats. So you had audio, you had video, you had, CDs come up later on, you had the laser disc for the entire, video. So pretty much every content format that was available was being used by him and, his team. Another point where he was also a shrewd businessman, and combined with his marketing acumen, he was also able to negotiate royalties. Which, I mean, now when you look at all the different music platforms like Tidal or Spotify or all the post Napster apps that came out, because artists felt that they were not getting a bulk of the sales from all the record sales that they were doing. Back in the day, he was able to negotiate, $2 for every album that was sold. And of course, he had an amazing team around him, his business advisors and whatnot. But then, these are, I mean, can you imagine, having $2 royalty on every album sold, and, you sold like 750 million, albums, or maybe more. I think it's probably a little bit more if you take all of them combined. That's over $1.5 billion, just from album sales, not counting, all the other ventures that he was involved in, real estate, video game, purchasing the rights to, let's say, the Beatles. I mean, all massive, money spinners for him. So, in addition to being an extremely great and shrewd businessman, he definitely knew, the pulse of marketing. He always knew, what the fans really wanted, and he always gave them something new to look forward to, right? Be it through his videos, be it through his music, be it through the special effects, be it through all the different types of marketing that he used to do with all the available mediums at in that time. This has definitely, set a roadmap for many, many, many thousands of people, since him, and it's going to continue. The only difference is, the number of avenues in which you can promote your products has increased, but then the basics are still the same. Human psychology is still the same. People love to see something different, especially when it comes from somebody famous. That's simple reason why one of the videos that I was talking about, why influencer marketing is probably one of the cheapest way of promotions that you can do, especially if you're collaborating with some of the top stars like Cristiano Ronaldo and so on. So, the whole idea is for you to be able to reach out to as many people as possible at the lowest rate possible. But then the roadmap that he set is something that everybody has pretty much followed, and they will continue to follow. And now with the metaverse, coming into the picture, and all these different newer technologies coming in, so it's just the basics still remain the same. You keep creating content. Content is king. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And then how you slice it and dice it and promote it through all these different channels, that's what really counts. And Michael Jackson, for that very reason, is most definitely the OG of marketing. And if you really look into it, there's a lot to learn from some of the stuff that he did. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.